The Tour Championship wraps the greatest year disc golf has ever seen, whether your disdain for Gannon prevented you from enjoying it. Drew Gibson adds even more fuel to an already bleak outlook for an offseason, and even more this week in disc golf. What's going on, all you disgenerates? It's me, Swiss Cheese, the one with all the holes in his game, and I'm one half of the disc golf world. The nephew and uncle duo YouTube channel that gives you all your disc golf news from the tour. You're watching This Week in Disc Golf, where I cover all things disc golf from the past week. Quick thank you to all of those on the Patreon page and helping allow us to tour alongside the pros. Your efforts have contributed to this channel's success and the content we've been able to make. And be on the lookout for even more content in the future. That's enough of that already. Let's dive into the wrap of the season. The Tour could not have asked for a better finish to the season with their championship. The ending saw the best disc golf on the season, epic course records being set, and a final day chase down that matched the greatest comeback of the season. That, and it was successful enough to give Brody the itch to play again, as he's gotten a round in already this offseason, already totaling about the same amount as last year. For Gannon Buhr, he can rest easy not having to play any A tiers or lower to get that 200 grand season. And for Rick, a tough finish to a season of battles with up-and-coming young talents throughout the year. We made sure to cover the main topics in Monday's video, but let's spend some time shining a light on some performances that shouldn't go unnoticed with all the talk surrounding the final day battles. In the FPO, Hannah Wynn may have been the final player to enter the championship, but she took full advantage by climbing into the top 10, in large part due to her day 3 5-under performance, which ended up being 999 rated. Hannah only averaged 30 points over her rating over the entire tournament and played well under the pressure. While in the MPO, shout out needs to go out to Casey White. Sure, he's a little too into karaoke, but capped off his best professional season with a 9th place finish with a final day 8 under. Casey is balled this season, heading into free agency like many others. Along with Casey, we also got to acknowledge Evan Smith. We certainly need to give this season and the championship finish the praise it deserves, because Evan is far too stoic to say it himself. On a shortened season, still qualified for the championship and ended with a 7th place on top of that. Evan averaged a top 25 finish at elite events, while closing out the season as one of the hottest disc golfers on the year. For most of the tail end of this season, many fans have expressed disinterest or apathy in the tour. Some canceled their subscriptions while others decided to play more disc golf instead of partaking of coverage. The main culprit for many was citing Gannon Buhr's dominance and his lack of personality. Yet placing the blame on the sport's indifference or viewership on an individual player who had debatably the single greatest season ever, certainly financially, seems to be the efforts to simplify more underlining issues that our current sport coverage provides. As the product that was produced this year over the entirety of the Disc Golf Pro Tour season, simply put, created the best disc golf season the sport has ever experienced. A season that saw the expansion of the European Tour, 5 first-time winners in both the MPO and FPO that could not have started any faster. 4 of the first 5 events had battles that came down to the final hole, that not only featured Anthony Barella's first Elite Series win, but him stamping his presence on the sport moving forward by winning 3 of those first 5 events. But also saw Gannon needing 18 to finally overtake Luke Humphreys at Wacky Waco, Nicholas Antala late round heroics from the putting green to capture the Stenson hat, and sure, Texas States was well in hand for AB, but those watching witnessed Gannon put together a 1500 in the final round to at least make it interesting. And Jonesboro had the closest action with multiple players late on the entire season. And the action didn't stop there, with a fan favorite Simon winning in dominating fashion at MCO, only to be followed up with an underdog capturing the first major in Andrew Presnell after he finished no better than 24th at all other majors prior in his career. Certainly DDO was soft, correct? How about a chase card charge and Kelvin Heimberg needing a 12 under final day to get the win, only for his winning streak to continue with back-to-back victories at OTB. Tired of big names? How about being able to root for open bagger thrower Gavin Rathbun making podiums in that stretch? Oh, but here we go. We got to the beginning of Gannon's dominant stretch. Certainly the action ceases from here, even if you can't appreciate him having command of the best field of the sport has ever seen for 4 entire days, by over 12 strokes at Portland. And if you don't, lucky for you, you had the ability to throw yourself behind yet another young talent rising in the game in Ezra Robinson, hoping to defeat Gannon at Beaver State Fling late, down by a stroke with 2 holes to play. Even with Ricky taking the preserve down yet again, still needed him to come back from 2 strokes down on the final day against Kyle Klein. Is it becoming difficult for you to pinpoint exactly where this season became boring? Because I'm not seeing it. No one was complaining when AB won his 4th at Des Moines with an 11 under final round, but I guess most people think he's cool, so let's give that a pass. The community also had little issue with Ricky dominating in Europe at Krokol or a European festival, while also not acknowledging Gannon needing to hold off both Paul Macbeth and to charging Ricky to take down his first major of the season at the European Open. But it must be that Ledgestone victory by Gannon that started the tired trend, only for it to be followed up with another first-time winner that very next week in Joey Buckets, taking down Idlewild that had plenty of drama late with multiple players also. I guess seeing back-to-back world champions by Isaac Robinson wasn't enough for most. Maybe that's tired. And even if you want to point to Gannon taking down 4 of the final 5 events, you're still ignoring the rest of this season's action. And even in those victories, still had another first-time winner in James Proctor at MVP, with the absolute sickest highlight putt from the drop zone, a battle between 2 of the young greats at USDGC, and probably the best disc golf of all our lifetimes at Nevin Park in the dgpt championship. Instead, placing the game on Gannon's personality is just as lazy as how our sport currently engages in the storylines of its players, which is far more likely a reason for why we as fans felt the way we have towards the end of the season. The pro year is too long, add a lack of diversity in new events or stops, and DGBT's oversaturation of coverage on just the big name players are more likely why fans are feeling the way that they do. The tour has provided less and less coverage to showcase the talents of other players, even when presented with them on lead or chase cards throughout the season, which is the only way to give fans someone else to root for. I certainly understand the model that the tour is using in showcasing you the best players, as their model is bent on selling you subscriptions. But on a season like this, that saturation can have a negative effect also. Add way too structured press conferences with too few of questions revolving around the sport, course, player or play, lack of highlights with diverse players, missing early hot round coverage, or at best only partial coverage of that hot round. These are far more reasons for your apathy towards the pro game. Because most of you weren't complaining about Macbeth's dominance or his lack of personality when fans were scrambling to gobble any nugget of coverage possible back in the days of YouTube. And if what Drew Gibson stated on this week's Tour Life happens, this issue could be even made worse. While being this week's guest host on the Tour Life, Drew continued to paint a bleak picture for this offseason.
I hope I'm wrong for the strength of the field and the sport, but I think if you're not one of the big dogs or big producers, whether it's on social media, whether it's, you host some type of show or you're in charge of something, I think that we're going to see a lot of people making some posts of, hey, I can't tour. I mean, I made a YouTube video last week about how much it cost me to Monday qualify, then stay for the 10 days. I got 10th place in the tournament and lost $1,300.
He also went further and referenced players receiving warnings of player cuts as early as MCO this year, which definitely seems to be a reference to a major manufacturer, because Drew said it involved every level of player. Goes to show this sport's looming resettlement from the COVID boom on the manufacturer standpoint could see a number of players going unsigned altogether. We have been told by a few players ourselves that their manufacturer has already told them they would not be reoffering contracts this offseason, while other players are already looking to make different arrangements in anticipation of too small or no offers at all. This offseason will certainly shape the pro game unlike we have seen in the years past. Anticipated smaller fields or pros only doing limited regional tours would mean lower prize pools and a weaker strength of field, which is made worse with an even more expansion of the European Tour and 2 majors being overseas next year. Also, this news has to be just as worrisome for the DGBT also, who sees plenty of their ads and event sponsors funded by manufacturers, as this financial pinch will certainly be felt there also. But it might not be all Costco guys level doom here. This readjustment could also open the window to an expansion of A tiers and hopefully the coverage that goes along with those stops, meaning a resurgence of post-produced coverage by the providers that were pushed out by the DGBT on their Pro Tour stops. For many of those never subscribers, more coverage of more tournaments with some recognized names on top of that certainly gives them the disc golf fix the community craves, even with possibly better commentary. Look, disc golfers are gonna disc golf, whether on a smaller scale or not, and any competition will bring new innovations, differing perspectives, and possibly better coverage. But now, let's get to some quick hitters. How about a volunteer hitting an ace during the Throw for Dough event, earning him $500 and a photo with Springs? Adam Hammis and his Hamboners fan club have been enjoying food reviews on his reels as of late. The Wisconsinite reviewed the new Culliver's cheese curds and also tried an uncooked plantain. Wish that was a joke, but it's the truth. Valerie and Mason enjoyed some Crime Junkies podcast on their return home. Nothing says a stable relationship like mutilated bodies. Kona Montgomery dyed her hair. That and Kristen Tatar and Silver Lot definitely hand out full-size candy bars at Halloween, based purely on their player packs for their local C tier that they're running with full-size Snickers and Twix bars. Silver Sarnan goes mushroom farming while she's back at home. Nate Sexton belongs to the Timber Army as he enjoys a Portland Timbers game. Guys, that wraps up this week in disc golf. If you've enjoyed and not subscribed, make sure to do so. And if you haven't already, hit that like button, comment, and share.